All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the MLB Inside the Diamond podcast. I'm your host, Tom Johnston. With me is MLB Department Head Lamar Fields. Lamar, how you doing this evening, brother?
Pretty good. Yourself?
Yeah, it's another day full of sports, full of baseball. We're gonna do some switching up. Lamar had a pretty good idea last week. I actually liked his idea, so we're gonna roll with it this week, and that's that. We're gonna talk about the top five pitchers of all time in both leagues. Now we're just gonna combine the leagues together and talk about the five all-time pitchers. So Lamar, I want you to go first. What are you thinking with this, my guy?
My top five, not in any order, would be Greg Maddux, Dr. Clemens, Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, and Nolan Ryan.
Oh yeah.
The top five I've seen pitch. Yeah.
Now what? Now elaborate more on those five. Why would you go those specific five?
Clemens, got all the Cy Young Award despite all the steroid allegations, and he still was a great pitcher even when he got older. And Randy Johnson, was a freak of nature, tall, that fastball and that slider combination, pretty much impossible for left-handers to hit him. And Pedro with that fastball and that changeup, he had that winder where the same way he pitched the fastball, the same way he pitched the changeup. So if he threw the changeup, you'd be way out in front thinking it's a fastball. Greg Maddux, just the location and the Braves used to get that extra 2 inches on the side, inside the plate and outside the plate. And Nolan Ryan was just, a beast. Even when he got older, throwing heat, fearless. And what I missed, one more, who did I say? Did I cover them all? Yeah, I think I covered them all, right? Yeah.
I think you did too.
Yeah, I covered them five, yeah.
Yeah. See, that's actually not a bad list. I actually have some similar ones. I'm not gonna lie, like Greg Maddux, Pedro Martinez, and definitely the big unit. To elaborate on Randy Johnson, that guy was a feared pitcher because no matter who came to the plate, just the guy's stature, but just his pitching mechanics, like the way he would come at hitters, it'd be like, is this guy actually going to hit me? Is he not? But then it's like his fastball was always there, and they called him the big unit for a reason. The guy was just a very tough pitcher to really face off against, no matter who you were. And, bouncing off of Greg Maddux, I've never in my life probably have seen a pitcher that knows how to paint the corners of a plate like Maddux did. And, just the way he went about his business, with the way he liked to change pitches often and catch hitters off guard. I really think that really speaks volume to who he was. Now, I would say two or three different guys here. And one of those guys I would just say would probably be Cy Young, just because the award's named after him for a reason and stuff.
Yeah, I could have went with that like that too, but I just went when I wanted to go with players I actually seen, pitch. So if I was to if I was to do all time list, it'd probably be a little bit different if I did the whole all time list. You got Koufax, Drysdale, Marichal, Bob Gibson. But I just going based off who I seen play.
Oh yeah, nothing wrong with that. I just feel like even if I did not see Cy Young actually pitch, it's just one of the reasons why I would say he's one of the all-time best is the award. There's an award named after him for a reason, and just the way he just went about his business. But I'm also actually going to go a little different route and say Justin Verlander too, and here's why. To this day, besides maybe one or two pitchers, have never seen a guy like throw into the seventh or eighth inning and, be up near 100 pitches and still find a way to throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and I mean, to the people out there, that takes a lot, because like you're talking about throwing, 8 to 10 warm-up pitches an inning and then, pitching, maybe an extra 20 to 30 pitches on top of that. But being able to muster that kind of velocity, especially late in the game, I don't know what his breakfast resume is like, what his pitching resume is like with, on a daily basis, but like it's some talent, It kind of like reminds me of like Shohei Ohtani today with like how he can pitch, but like just the velocity that like he could throw at too. But I mean, Verlander to me, it wasn't even just his fastballs, the way he could throw his breaking ball, the way he just could get hitters out in front, and just a mixture of it. He's been an ace for a long time. And, even though he might not be an ace in present day baseball, it's just, you just knew that whenever you would face a younger Justin Verlander, that your team was either going to have a problem hitting that day, or he just really brought it. And even if your team tried to hit off of him, like it was sometimes impossible. But, to be honest with you, I don't know how like Verlander avoided like some major injuries in his career with the way that he threw, just because for a guy to like have the repertoire that he has and to be able to like throw at that velocity late in the game, I'm honestly surprised like he really didn't have like a serious injury in his career that could, deter him and like keep him out for like maybe 2+ years. Because I mean, certain pitchers, whenever they start to have that kind of velocity, they could start to have arm troubles, and it can get pretty dangerous. But Verlander is just one of those guys that I just always admire.
You just had that injury a couple of years ago. Other than that, that was it.
Well, yeah. But like overall, I mean, there's just we could go down a list of like pitchers that have had injuries that have kept them out for a long time. But then it's just something about Verlander. It's just But I mean, going off of Pedro Martinez, I can honestly say I've never seen a pitcher like how he like went, because the unique thing about Martinez was he had a certain way of how he attacked lefties compared to righties. Like he didn't always throw all of his pitches to both hitters. Like he really had a different way of attacking lefties and righties. And I think whenever you look at even pitchers today versus all-time pitchers, that's kind of one thing that sets him apart in that aspect is he had a certain way, but he was able to maintain that throughout his career to where, it really never phased him, but like it also made him like that much more lethal, because let's just face it, I've seen him pitch a couple times at PNC Park, and I'm just like, you know what? As much as I dislike the New York Mets, this guy just, there's something about him that, makes him Pedro. And to me, as much as I enjoy him as a studio analyst, I would love to see that guy as a pitching coach, just mentoring young pitchers and stuff to just like pass down his knowledge. Because if there's a pitcher that I would pick to be a pitching coach, it would be Pedro Martinez, just with the mechanics and how he went about his business. I'm not here to say we probably won't ever see another pitcher like Martinez, but it's hard to find that pitcher that goes about his pitching mechanics and the way he throws to hitters like that, and to have long-term success like he did, it's kind of unheard of.
Yeah, he was outstanding.
And then let's see here. I know I agreed on Martinez, and then I agreed on Johnson. I said Verlander. That's 3. Oh, I said Cy Young. That's 4. I would probably say number 5. This is going to be a tricky one because I really didn't think of a number 5, but now that I'm brainstorming it, where can I go? You know what? I'm going to make a bold one and say Andy Pettit. And here's the reason why. I just admire that guy, like the guy's pitching mechanics as a left-handed pitcher. And like the fact that, he played with the Astros early on, and then he was with the Yankees. But it just seemed like, no matter when that guy was called upon, he could always deliver. Now, if I would go all-time pitchers, I probably wouldn't categorize him in the top 5. But if I'm going by at least 2 I've seen compared to, like, say, Cy Young, I would probably say Andy Pettit. I mean, there are a couple other guys I could go to, but I just really admire his pitching mechanics as a left-handed hitter and some of the games that he's played in, and just whenever the guy got called upon, man, that guy came in and he delivered. And to play for like the Yankees like he did, and I get it. He was in every fifth day starter, but sometimes he would come on besides a starter when called upon. I just admired that about him, and his pitching mechanics they've always wowed me because a lot of people just think that it's easy being a left-handed pitcher, and it's really one of the tougher things to be in Major League Baseball, considering righties have a better grasp for pitching wise whenever it comes to a lefty. But with Pettit, he knew how to just like throw, and I ain't gonna lie, I would always just sit there and just be amazed at this guy's mechanics, and it'd be one way or another with him. But definitely Andy Pettit. But if we would probably go to an all-time list, I probably would switch a couple guys up. But those are just some of the guys that I've admired just based off of how they went about their game and how they, just were able to just get better throughout their career.
Yeah.
What else would you like to talk about besides that today? I know the Angels are on fire right now. The Dodgers kind of not.
Yeah, the Angels getting some good pitching.
Oh, yeah. I actually didn't even realize that.
That's the big difference in what they're doing. They always had strong hitters. Their pitching is pitching much better than since the start of the season. So they lost today, but 21-11, man, that's pretty good. That's off to a good start. Now they just got to maintain it.
And the funny part is I remember that you said early on in like a previous podcast how like the Angels always had the offense nucleus. It was just the pitching really wasn't there. And now that they kind of have the pitching there, it kind of really scares me because it's like I tell people, just to see the talent that Ohtani's developing to in the awards that like they recognized him for, like my guy won like 5 awards last year. And like it's crazy to see like just the awards that he won. Like it's just to me, we see a special player in Shohei Ohtani. And I feel like this guy's on the verge of getting one of the most lucrative contracts in all of Major League Baseball. But here's a point in case. Do you think the Angels say we just leave him how he is for his career? Or do you think if he stays with the Angels or goes elsewhere that, like, they say pick one or the other, hitting or pitching?
Ooh. They do both so well. I would say that he do both until if his arm start messing up, later in his career, like start getting injured a lot of stuff, he can just say, okay, I don't want to pitch no more. I can just hit.
Yeah, totally. Because I mean, it's a blessing in disguise whenever you get a two-way player. But I think it's even more. I think just at some points you kind of have to be a little cautious with it, because you never know if one thing or the other is going to really get to him or tire him out and stuff. But I mean, it's great to see a two-way player, but like, can they really be this consistent? Like, okay, I won't lie. Like, if Shohei can actually put up like a similar performance to last year in back-to-back years, I'd be like, all right, this dude's impressive. And like, we know that like they're gonna be like, and if it gets to that level, we know Major League Baseball will be there with a steroid test and a drug test, and like they'll keep monitoring him because, like, let's just face it, the reporters are gonna make a lot of fuss about it. Like, oh, is this guy on something? And Major League Baseball is gonna be on top of it. But I just feel like it's just crazy to see two talented guys like Mike Trout and him, and the fact that he's still only in his 20s though is Ohtani. That's what's scary, because if he can really keep this up, that's even crazier. And the one thing that I started to realize about him was, and I don't know if you started to realize this, but a couple games ago I started to see he started to change his swing to where he can hit into the opposite field. And like the other day, he got his first career grand slam. It's a fun fact. It's the first career grand slam he's ever had between Japan and Major League Baseball. So there was an opposite field home run too. So it's going to be kind of scary to see if this guy can keep that up. How are people going to really go about approaching this dude as a hitter?
Yeah, you gotta go opposite field, man. You always gotta think opposite field in baseball. That's what the best hitters do. If you pull everything, yeah, you're gonna hit a lot of home runs, but you're gonna also bat like 250.
Oh yeah. And
And
that's where the shift becomes prominent though, because people are
yeah,
just like, oh yeah, they're a pull hitter, it's
yeah,
just gonna move it over. But I really like that. He's shown that he can adapt, and he's shown that, hey man, I can hit to all parts of the field. And that's what I think makes you a more lethal player is okay, the guy can pitch and he's a very good pitcher, but then it's also the guy can hit and he's just not all dominant the one, side of the field. Like this guy can hit the multiple sides of the field. And that's actually what you really need to look for. And I think Art Moreno and them, they have they know what they have on their table, but it's just like, okay, we've already paid Mike Trout, but like, are we really willing to go down this route and pay Shohei too? But you have to think, man, if you keep those guys together and borrowing Mike Trout, knocking on wood, can actually stay healthy. That's the key thing is I think that's also hurt the Angels in the past is they've paid Mike Trout. They know he's a talent, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. But if
yeah,
you have the pitching where it's starting to look like it's a solid pitching staff and everything, but I think if Mike Trout can prove to stay healthy, and then you have Shohei just continue to do what he does, the Angels can really be the team to be reckoned with. And I think that they can also be the team that wins the AL West. I mean, it's already looking as if MLB on Fox already has polls like, what are the Angels going to do? I'm like, all right, I get that it's like, going to be almost mid-May, but like we can relax for like another 2 weeks before we like really start to hype things up.
yeah. It's still early, so we'll see how it goes. But they're off to a good start. Normally they're not off to as good a start. So we'll see if the pitching can hold up. Right now, they're 7th in the Major League Baseball with a 3.38 ERA. So we'll see if they can keep it up.
Oh yeah, how about them San Francisco Giants?
Yeah. Starting to get some players back, so the offense starting to hit again. They went on a little 4-game losing streak last week, but now they're getting players back, and the bats are coming alive, and pitching good. So, I mean, looking up, just got to continue to hit and look to add some players. The Reds are already talking about they listening for will take calls on Castillo, and forgot the other pitcher name, but yeah, I would call him up, try to get Castillo, shore up that rotation a little bit.
Oh yeah, I mean that could be good. I mean, to me, I look at it this way: it's good in baseball when the teams that are supposed to be good are good, like the two New York teams, the Mets and the Yankees. But then it's also, I ain't gonna sugarcoat when the Giants and the Dodgers are good, it's good for baseball. It is, and I know there's a heated rivalry between the Giants and the Dodgers. You guys can't stand one another.
Yeah.
I love it in baseball, but I'm actually gonna pinpoint to another talking point here, and this is the Pirates because, okay, I will not lie, I was shocked that they took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, but here's what even was crazier is that the Reds won their series against the Pirates and snapped out of it, and I knew it was going to happen. It's just I don't know what it is with the Pirates. It's like I should always expect this being a Pirates fan is that the unexpected is going to happen, but then the expected is not going to happen because when the Reds were facing the Pirates before they faced the Dodgers, the Reds only had like 3 wins, and then all of a sudden, they snap out of their cold streak and everything like that. Now, it's still unfortunate the way that the Reds are looking because, to be a month and some change into the season and have over 20 losses, I mean, that's crazy. And to have less than 10 wins as the Reds is crazy. But the Pirates, on the other hand, who knows what the significance of taking 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers this early in the season is going to have as a ripple effect later on in the season. And I say that because, I started to realize that there are series that happen in April and May, and you ask yourself, what will be the significance of that series win, or what will be the significance of that sweep, or even a significance of a single win early on in the season now will play a ripple effect later on in the season. And I honestly think that, the next time that both the Dodgers and the Pirates, match up, which will be in Los Angeles, it might have a ripple effect whenever they meet for the next time. So it's hard to say, but truth be told, the Pirates, they're kind of in the thick of things right now, especially in the NL Central. But it's crazy. But if you were to have a surprise team so far, let's just say theoretically we don't speak about the Angels, but it's hard to not speak about them. If you had one surprise team so far, who is
right now? Let's see. One surprise teams. I would say the Twins. I didn't expect them to play this. I knew they played well, but I didn't expect them to play this well this early.
Yeah, I would. I'm not gonna lie, I'd agree, but I'm also gonna go and not, and this isn't nothing against the Mets, but I didn't expect that the Mets would have this kind of record without DeGrom. I thought that with DeGrom out, it kind of would have put it a detriment into their rotation and everything. But I think this shows that, hey man, the New York Mets, they don't. I mean, it's nice to have DeGrom in the rotation, but I think it also shows that, hey man, everyone's been thinking, oh, Scherzer and DeGrom in the same rotation, the Mets are going to need both of them to survive. And here we are, and there's no DeGrom, and everyone's like, wait, the Mets are actually showing that they can actually survive now. If granted, we're only a month and some change into the season, but I mean, I think that speaks evidence whenever you're in the same division as the World Series champs, the Atlanta Braves and everything. But I mean, I'm going to expect the Phillies at some point to perhaps turn it up and, stuff like that. But overall, I would say that is my surprise team so far is the New York Mets, and it's just based off the fact that they're doing this good without DeGrom. So I can only imagine what they're going to do with him.
Yeah, Chris Bassett been pitching pretty good for him, 4-2 with 2.45 ERA. So he's been picking up the slack for DeGrom. So if he does come back this season, they have a nice little 3-man rotation.
Oh yeah, that's truly what it is. I mean, the way you gotta look at a baseball rotation is you're gonna have your ace, and then your next to good ace, and then you're gonna have that third guy that you can rely on. I mean, to me, in a 5-man rotation, if you can actually get, good quality outings from 3/5 of your rotation, you've already won half the battle. It's just whenever you got teams that, okay, yeah, we really have these first 2 guys at the top because we can only rely on them, but then the next 3 guys, it's just blah. But anything else you want to add to this?
No, I think we got covered quite a bit.
Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the MLB Inside the Diamond podcast. I want to thank Lamar Fields for his time as always. And we're going to be back next week with another group of position players. Till then, see you guys.